Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Number one, it's great to be out on the field with the guys in full pads. I think it's been about 8.5 months since our guys have put on full pads, and since maybe November 29th. So, this is kind of the next step for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about practice here in a minute. Did want to update everyone, just through the last 2 weeks, really been having a lot of communication with our players and just being transparent because it's a different time. And, I think in order for us to have a chance to move forward safely and play, it's very important that all of the players have an opportunity to opt out if they don't feel comfortable playing. For whatever reason, each young man has different situations. Some of our players maybe have a young child. Maybe they have a family that have some certain underlying conditions. So everybody has their own situation. So I did want to update you. In the last week, we've had 5 more players that have come to visit with me about opting out for this season, again, just for different reasons. And I fully support them. I know it was a very difficult decision for every one of those young men. And I let them know that I support them and be there for them. But just to update you, Thomas Nance, who was kind of moving back and forth between defensive end and tight end, has opted out. Also, Josh Berry, who's really, coming back from an injury, still coming back from an ACL injury. It wasn't quite healthy yet. Eddie McDoom, wide receiver. Devin Gill, transfer linebacker. And Eugene Bowman, defensive back. So those are really the 5 to go along with the 2 other guys that we talked about last week. For us, for me, it's really about what's next. And for us, after today, we'll take tomorrow really to we're not going to have practice tomorrow, so it won't be a physical practice. It'll be meetings. It'll be a mental practice, and really just spend some extra time in the meeting room, getting some quality video work and knowledge, and then really excited. We have an opportunity to go to Raymond James Saturday morning for our first scrimmage. Our players are super excited about that. Anytime you can get in Raymond James, and I think this is the first time we've been able to do it in a long time because the NFL doesn't have any preseason games going on. So we're able to kind of benefit from that, and I'm excited about getting into Raymond James myself and watching those guys go and compete. As far as today's practice, again, first day in full pads, and it showed, like you probably would expect. Very rusty, nowhere near the execution that is needed. But, it's kind of the next step for us as a team and for our phase. The last 2 periods, we finished live, full tackle to the ground, and we did short yardage. So we did 3rd and 2.5 with the winner loser. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1.5, 3rd and 1, and then if we had a tie 2-2, then we put it back went 3rd and 2 for a winner loser, and so we did that 2 racks. It ended up even between offense and defense after doing 2 periods of that. So each group had some success and also gave up too many plays there. So for us, it's really about learning, getting in the video room and watching it. There's only so many things you can do when you're in shorts and jerseys, and then when you're in shoulder pads. Really the game is played in full pads, and we have to be very smart about, just like I said, today we're in full, and really the last 10 minutes were the only live periods to the ground that we did because we have our scrimmage coming up Saturday. So, I feel we'll take that next step Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Do you think, Jeff, that teams who have returning starters at quarterback are going to have an advantage because of the lack of spring practice and even limited fall practice? Will they have an advantage particularly early on in games?
It depends on how good their starting quarterback is that is returning. Probably what I would say about that. Sometimes I've been places and your returning starting quarterback's coming back, and that might not be a good thing. Obviously, by and large, it's great to have a returning starter coming back, regardless of the schedule. This is a very unique year, and obviously not having spring. But the benefit that we have right now, going through fall camp, if you think about it, spring ball is definitely important. But if you think about it, spring practice, you really get 13 good practices Then you have your 14th practice as a walkthrough for the spring game, and then your 15th practice is really the spring game. Where in fall camp you could have as many as 25 practices. And so, yes, is it a little bit of a benefit, but at this point, that's not really anything that any of us are worried about. We're just trying to get these guys ready and be hopeful and optimistic that we can find a safe way to play this fall.
Jeff, your Power 4 tweet the other day got a lot of good traction on Twitter. Can you kind of talk about that idea and maybe what you envision with it?
Yeah, I just having a little bit of fun with it. I think we feel pretty confident that we're within the top 6 conferences in the country, and obviously I feel bad for the coaches and players in the Big Ten and the Pac-12. But with that, now there's 4 conferences that are working right now to move forward, and so we've kind of next man up, kind of move yourself up, and obviously there's a lot more time and facts and all that will decide if we are able to play this fall. But if we are able to play this fall in a safe manner, it'll be a great opportunity for our conference, because we're going to be able to get some of the primetime TV slots that maybe the other conferences that are not playing are giving up. So, number one, very hopeful for our team, but also it could potentially be a great spotlight for our conference. I feel like we've got some outstanding players and teams in our conference, and also some outstanding coaches. And anything that we can do to give our conference more exposure. For me, being at Clemson, thinking about different jobs in different places, the American Conference was one of the factors in me coming here to South Florida. I'm friends with Tom Herman and talked to him for a while, through his experience at Houston, Mike Norvell at Memphis. So, I have a lot of respect for our conference before I got here, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to be on display this fall.
Jeff, the guys who opted out, obviously their choice, they have your blessing and support. Has it jarred your optimism at all about moving forward and playing this fall?
There's so many different factors trying to figure it out, and really I'm just kind of compartmentalizing that. Hey, here it is. This is what it is. We're not hiding anything from our guys. This is the first time everybody's going through it. It's really just being transparent, communicating with the guys, and then, being respectful for each guy's decision. And to be honest, I'm every day I feel very blessed and fortunate for the guys that are here and that are continuing to work every day. But, we've got more than enough. You think about a college roster compared to an NFL roster. We still got a long way to go before we'd be in a position where we couldn't practice and play.
How hard is it to be transparent with the guys whenever there's so much more questions than there are answers out there? Or does that make it even easier?
Yeah, it probably makes it easier because I can tell them everything I know in about 30 seconds. So it's, I think the players appreciate that. Whenever we talk about, kind of the key components to our program, number one is communication, right? So that's where it starts, is just this open line of communications, and sometimes it's okay to tell them, hey, we don't know yet. This is where we are. And I think, these guys are smart. They know, they can see what's going on, and I just feel like as a coach, as much information as we can give them to help them through this time, the better.
You talk a lot of, you still use the word if we can get a season, and is there in your mind how things are going to work over the next month or so, like how you feel, what hurdles need to be cleared away from the field when you can't control it all the time?
Yeah, I think by nature, I see myself as a very positive and optimistic person, because I just believe you have a choice in life. One of the most powerful choices you have as an individual is whether you want to have a positive attitude and outlook, or you want to take a pessimistic. So by nature, I'm positive and optimistic, but I think it may be turned into maybe a Pollyanna thought if we just said we know we're going to play no matter what. That's not realistic. We know there's a lot of hurdles to go. I think the way that I've tried to stay focused and with our staff and our players is, number one, let's enjoy every day and every opportunity, because there's a lot of college players that didn't get an opportunity to practice today, because of things that happen. So number one, let's take this for granted. And then number two, let's just worry about today and be great today. And like I've said before, it's much better to prepare without an opportunity than to not prepare and have one. And so that's really what our mindset is with our guys, and they've really bought into that so far. And there's no guarantees, right? I mean, these things could change at any point, but for now, it's just kind of staying locked in. And I'm very hopeful and optimistic that we'll have a chance to go scrimmage Saturday at Raymond James. That would be an awesome, from where we've been the last 160 days or so. That would be a great feat for us, and then we'll just kind of take it one day at a time after that.
I wanted to ask about your offensive line. You're replacing two guys on the right side. Your left side's kind of locked down with some good juniors. What's kind of any updates at offensive line of who maybe you're trying in those spots?
Yeah, well, number one, overall, obviously, we're just still getting to know our young men as players and those type of things. But, just my initial reaction for where I am now, I'm really optimistic with our offensive line. I think we have some really good leadership in that group. Brad Cecil, Demetrius Harris, Donovan Jennings, all three of those guys, not only are they good players that have a lot of experience, they're great leaders for our offense. Jarrett Hoppel's done a really good job at right tackle, and we got a couple guys that are kind of competing. Michael Wiggs has done a good job at right guard. But that competition will continue as we move forward. Again, today was our first day in full pads, so that's really for the linemen. We got to get out there and do some live work to really evaluate them. But as a group, that's one of the groups I'm most proud of and most optimistic with moving forward this season.
Jeff, while you have had a few more guys opt out, after one full week of practice now, what has been the level of engagement and enthusiasm that you've seen?
Yeah, it's been great. Saturday for us was this past Saturday. We had a team meeting, really kind of talking through all the stuff that's going on. I know these guys are seeing everything, and for me, whenever we came back out here Sunday night for practice, for a lot of the guys, it was kind of like, all right, here we go. I'm in, and we're going to do this, as long as we can in a safe manner. And it feels like we kind of turned the page a little bit. Obviously, every day things can change, and everybody's situation can change. But by and large, the majority of the team is truly in a position where they want to play, and I'm excited because I'm seeing this group come together as a team, and I'm just really hopeful to see how they continue to progress the rest of fall camp.
When you, as soon as you start playing, and give them testing where it is now, where you can't test any closer than 72 hours before a game, how concerned are you about going head-to-head for in a full game, physical contact all the way through, that somebody might spread a virus and you have to all shut down a couple teams and totally disrupt the season?
I think for us, we took a big step with our testing here with one of the programs with USF Help. And, I think I tweeted something out maybe earlier this week. We tested our entire team on Monday, and we got the results back Tuesday morning. So for us, that was a really big step, because up to that point, it had been a little bit inconsistent. So for me, I'm thinking of where we are now in August. We got probably at least a month from now before we play. And so, obviously, there'll be hopefully some advancements and improvements in the testing as it gets closer. So, for me, it's really just about what we're doing now, testing-wise, and how our guys are doing a good job with the mask and the physical distancing and all those type of things, and just having confidence that that'll be one of the things that has to get checked off the list before we're in a position to go out and play safely. Yeah, I'm really pleased. Dwayne's one of our top leaders on our defense. Just has a lot of respect, not just for the defensive players, but also the offense and the specialists. And he just brings a really good attitude, a good mindset every day. He's ready to go to work. I'm looking for guys that are humble, hardworking, blue collar, give great effort. That's the kind of guys that you win with. And, he epitomizes that, and I think it becomes contagious with the other guys on the defense.
Can you also tell me the background that went into that video that you posted on Twitter? Because I was shocked by it. I feel like everyone else that saw it was as well.
Yeah, so my mom is still not talking to me right now. First of all, I'll say this. All right, I like to have a good time when appropriate. And same thing I tell our guys all the time. Hey, this is hard work and it's a grind, but we don't have to walk around miserable every day. And I just kind of felt like the last 72 hours with everything that was going on. There was just so much stress, and that maybe we needed a good laugh. And that actually, my wife came up with that about 45 seconds before my mom walked in the house, and wasn't sure exactly how it was all going to go, but I was glad that, you know, my mom didn't prank me and fall out on the floor or something like that. But Savannah had a big time with it. But to let everybody know, Hunter is doing excellent. He was very safe. No live people were used for those stunts.
Coach, the other day, KJ Sales and Mike Hampton were talking about how they want to leave a legacy here. How impressed have you been on the field with their production, and how beneficial is it to have two skilled veteran guys like you have?
Absolutely. I mean, secondary is one of those positions that if you don't have some experience, you can get in trouble really quickly. And so, you know, kind of as I got here and learned a little bit about our personnel, there was definitely a comfort level knowing, and both of those guys, both KJ and Mike, you know, they had ideas or thoughts whether they wanted to come back. And anytime you have a coaching changeover, usually that sometimes can help those guys make a decision to go ahead and leave, because they know that first year there's some difficult times that come with that. And both guys, from the meetings that I had with them in January all the way through now, you know, have been very professional and done a great job. You know, one thing that I always say is, you know, you're a champion as a person and as a team before you truly become champions on the field. And then also individually, for guys that have aspirations to go to the NFL, my experience at the places I've been, you know, you're a pro before you ever become a pro. And just watching Mike and KJ, the way that they work every day, you know, they're working like pros right now. So I'm just really pleased. Those guys have done a great job out there so far. And then also the way that they've led off the field has really been encouraging.
Coach Spencer said Tuesday that Dwayne Boyles and Antonio Greer were just really excited to learn a new scheme. Is that kind of the consensus everywhere with every position in wanting to learn a new scheme?
Yeah, you know, I think any time that, you know, obviously there's positives and challenges whenever you have new coaches that come in. But one of the positives is everybody kind of gets a new life, right? And, you know, as coaches, that's kind of where I've been. I haven't watched any video from the previous season. I wanted everybody to have a new start. Sometimes when you get in a new scheme, it's a fresh start. And I think those guys have really stood out. Both Antonio and Boyles have really stood out with the front seven guys and their leadership, taking ownership, you know, staying after, doing extra walkthroughs on their own without coaches, all the things that you look for. And obviously linebackers, like your quarterback on offense, right? You got to have a guy that can communicate, that knows what everybody's doing, can get guys lined up, especially in the scheme that we're going to run here under Coach Spencer.